Long ago, before Earth was spoken about in whispers across the stars, the Council of Worlds gathered inside their shining hall. Beings of every kind sat in silence, their eyes fixed on a single glowing sphere at the center of the chamber. Inside, the sphere played a recording word spoken by a human voice, calm yet heavy with meaning. The voice belonged to a woman. She spoke in English, her tone steady, as if she knew the whole galaxy was listening. The council did not move. Some leaned closer, trying to catch every word. Others shifted uneasily, as if the voice itself carried danger. When the message ended, the hall remained silent. No one dared speak first. At last, the High Speaker, a tall creature with silver skin, broke the silence. "This world, this Earth," he said slowly, "must be marked forbidden." Gasps filled the chamber. Many delegates nodded at once, their faces pale, their minds shaken. Others protested, demanding answers. But the decision was sealed that day. Earth's name was added to the Forbidden Register. Every ship was warned, never approach that planet, never disturb its people. But what had the woman said? Why did her voice shake the galaxy's most powerful leaders? The answer began years earlier, on Earth itself. It was a quiet night, and the world below was unaware of the eyes watching from above, in orbit, hidden. Far beyond the moon's shadow, a ship of the Council floated silently. The crew was tasked with observing Earth, recording the behavior of humans, and judging if the species was ready to join the wider galaxy. At first, the reports were ordinary. They wrote of wars and peace, kindness and cruelty, inventions and mistakes. Humans were strange, unpredictable, sometimes violent, sometimes noble. To the Council, Earth was just another developing world. Nothing unusual, until the day they intercepted her signal. She was not a leader. She was not a soldier. She was not even a scientist. She was just one woman, sitting in a small room, speaking into an old microphone. No one on Earth knew her message had left the planet. No one knew it had been caught by alien ears. Her voice was not loud, but there was something in it, something unshakable. "If you are listening," she began, "then you are not from here. You are not human. Maybe you come in peace, maybe not. But listen carefully. This world is not as weak as it looks." The crew leaned closer, their instruments recording every word. "We fight each other. Yes. We make mistakes. Fall. Again and again. But we rise. Always. That is what it means to be human. If you think we will kneel, you are wrong. If you think we will break, you do not understand us. You can burn our cities, you can shatter our skies, but you will never crush what we are. Because we are more than flesh. We are memory. We are dream. We are fire that spreads." The alien captain frowned. He had heard threats before, from worlds that had fallen easily, but this was not the same. The woman's words carried no hatred, only certainty. "One day we will reach the stars," she said. "And when we do, we will remember. We will remember who stood with us, and who stood against us. So choose wisely." The message ended, nothing more, just silence. But silence was enough. The crew argued for days. Some said it was only human pride, empty words. Others warned it was more than that it was a seed, a promise of what humanity could become. They sent the recording to the Council, and the Council listened. And when they listened, they remembered. For in those simple words, they heard something familiar, something dangerous. Not technology, not weapons, but will, the will to fight, to endure. To rise higher no matter the cost. It was the same will that had once destroyed empires, toppled rulers, and burned across the galaxy like wildfire. And now, it was found again inside a young species from a small blue planet. That was why the Council had gathered. That was why they had grown silent. And that was why the High Speaker had spoken the words that changed everything. Earth must be forbidden. But the story did not end there, because while the Council feared humanity's future, humanity itself did not yet know the truth. They lived their lives unaware that the stars had heard them, unaware that a single woman's message had shaken the galaxy, and unaware that, beyond the silence, not everyone agreed with the Council's decision. For even as Earth was marked forbidden, some eyes still watched, some ships still lingered in the dark, and some voices whispered, "What if the humans are?" Right, far away from Earth, deep in the cold dark of space, whispers spread through secret channels. The council had declared Earth forbidden, but not everyone agreed. Some called it a mistake, others called it fear. Some those who had seen humanity up close could not stop thinking about the woman's message. Among them was Kale, a young officer of the Arthean people. His skin glowed faintly blue under the ship lights, his eyes sharp with restless curiosity. He had been present when the message was first intercepted. He had watched the human woman speak, and unlike his captain, unlike the council, Kale had not felt fear. He had felt something else: wonder. The ship that had found the recording was still in orbit near Earth's shadow. Its orders were to stay hidden, to observe, and to avoid contact at all costs. But Kale broke rules often. In their pods, he stayed awake, watching Earth through the viewport. The blue oceans, the shifting clouds, the sparks of cities glowing in the night, it fascinated him. "They do not even know we are here," he whispered to himself. "They send their voices into the dark, not knowing who will hear." Night, as storms rolled across the planet, Kale replayed the woman's message again. Her words echoed in the small cabin. "You can burn our cities, you can shatter our skies, but you will never crush what we are." The tone, the conviction, it stirred something in him. He wondered if the council feared too much. He wondered if maybe they were right to fear, but wrong to forbid. The captain disagreed. "Humans are dangerous," the older alien said. "Their fire will spread, just as the message warned. Better we leave them locked in their cage." But Kale could not look away. He began collecting human broadcasts, signals, leaking into space songs, speeches, arguments, laughter, even silence between words. He filled his cabin with them, studying every fragment. The more he listened, the more he believed the council had missed something. These people were not only violent, they were dreamers. They sang of love and sorrow, of hope and despair. They told stories of heroes, of battles, of victories against impossible odds. Their voices were flawed, sometimes broken, but never silent. One night Kale found something else. Another signal. It was weaker, scattered, almost lost. But when he pieced it together, his pulse quickened. It was the same woman. Her voice returned. Softer this time, but still unshaken. "If anyone is still listening," she said, "then know this. We're not waiting for you to decide our future. We'll find our own way. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day. We will walk among the stars. And when we do, we will not come as slaves. We will come as equals, or as something greater." Kale froze. The message was not meant for the council. It was meant for whoever was out there for him. He leaned closer, his hand trembling. This was not a threat. It was a promise. And yet, even as Kale felt his chest tighten with awe, alarms rang across the ship. Red lights flashed. Captain's voice thundered through the comms. "Kale, what have you done?" The young officer spun around. His recordings were exposed. The captain stormed into his cabin, eyes burning. "You've been collecting their signals. Disobeying orders? Do you know the risk?" "They are not what the council believes," Kale argued. "You have only heard fear in her words. I hear strength. I hear hope." "Hope?" The captain's voice was sharp. "Hope is the beginning of fire, and fire consumes." The two stood in silence, the woman's voice still faintly echoing between them. The captain stared at Kale for a long moment, then shut down the recording with a single strike of his hand. "Enough. You will erase all of it. Tonight, and you will never speak of this again." But Kale did not obey. Later, when the ship prepared to move away from Earth, Kale hid a copy of the recordings in a small data crystal. He slipped it inside his uniform, close to his chest. He knew it was dangerous. He knew the council would punish him if they ever found out. But he also knew one thing. With absolute certainty, the woman was right. Earth was not weak. Earth was waiting. And one day, when humanity rose into the stars, Kale wanted to be the one who could say he believed in them first. As the ship's engines roared and the stars stretched into light, Cale whispered to himself, repeating her words like a secret vow. We rise. Always. Far behind, Earth spun silently, unaware of the fire its voice had lit in the heart of an alien. And somewhere beyond the Council's reach, forces were already moving. Not all of them wanted Earth forbidden. Some wanted it watched, some wanted it tested, and some wanted it destroyed before it ever rose. The game had begun. The Council's order spread across the galaxy like cold wind. Earth is forbidden. No ship may land there. No one may speak of them. The blue planet was locked away in silence. But silence is never perfect, somewhere in the dark edges of space. Secrets always break through. Cale carried one such secret inside his chest, the data crystal, the voice of the human woman. Her words stayed with him, whispering in his mind even when he tried to forget. We rise always. The ship he served on moved far from Earth now, charting new routes. Officially, Cale followed orders, stood at his post, ran the scans, logged reports. But at night, when the others slept, he replayed the recordings in silence. Every time he listened, felt the same thing, a strange fire. The humans had no great ships, no fleets, no star weapons. Yet their words carried more weight than armies. Why, Cale did not know. But he wanted to. And so, he began to ask questions. At first small ones, whispers to traders passing through. Questions hidden in routine reports, careful hint to an information broker. Always quiet, always masked. But soon he discovered something that made his heart pound. The Council had not erased the recording. They had locked it away. Sealed in. The deepest vaults, hidden where only the highest were allowed. Why keep it at all if they truly feared it? One evening, in a quiet port station, far from the Council's eyes, Cale found himself face to face with someone who claimed to know more. She was no Council officer, no loyal servant. She was a Shadowrunner, a smuggler. Her eyes were sharp, her smile dangerous. You're not the first to ask about Earth, she said, sliding a glass across the table. But you ask differently. Most want to know if the humans are easy prey. You want to know if their words are true. Cale froze. And are they? The smuggler leaned closer, lowering her voice. That depends on how much you believe in. Ghosts, he frowned. Ghosts, she smirked. Stories travel faster than ships. The Council calls them lies. But out there in the border systems, some whisper that humans have already been seen. Not on Earth? No. But out there, where no patrol dares to go. Cale's chest tightened. Impossible. They have no ships capable of. Are you sure? She interrupted. Or is that just what they want you to think? The words lingered. In his mind, long after he left, could it be true? Had humans already touched the stars quietly, secretly, while the Council declared them forbidden? The thought burned inside him. He had to know. Back on his ship, Cale risked more, hacked into restricted channels, stealing fragments of intercepted signals. He pieced them together in the dark, chasing whispers across light years. And one night, his screen flickered with something impossible. A signal, weak, broken, but human. It was not from Earth. It came from the edge of a dead system. Far beyond the Council's watch, Cale's breath caught, cleaned the noise, sharpened. The static, until at last a voice broke through. It was not the woman. It was someone else. A man, his voice tired but unyielding. To whoever hears this, know that we are out here. We are not many. We are not strong. But we endure. And if you come to strike us down, then remember this. Humans do not surrender. We fight until nothing is left, and even then, something always remains. The signal cut, leaving only silence. Cale sat frozen. His hands trembled. It was real. The whispers were real. Humans had already escaped their cage, but before he could move, alarms flared again. His console lit with warnings. Someone was tracing the signal. Not him, someone else. Another ship had locked onto it. And this ship was not friendly. Cale stared. At the readings in horror, the crest on the scanners was clear. It belonged to the Vera Dominion. The Vera were not like the Council. They did not fear. They conquered. To them, A forbidden world was not a warning, it was an invitation. They had heard the human's voice as well. But unlike Kale, they did not feel wonder. They felt hunger. Already their fleet was moving toward the dead system, hunting for a source of the human signal. Kale's captain would never allow interference. The council would demand silence. But Kale knew what that meant. If the Vera found humans first, it would be slaughter. He looked down at the crystal in his hand, at the woman's words etched forever inside it. Choose wisely. For the first time in his life, Kale made a choice. He would not stay silent, would not obey. He would follow the signal, and somewhere out in the dark, he would find the humans. Kale moved alone. The ship, bound by council orders, turned away. From the dead system, the captain never knew Kale had copied the signal, never guessed that the young officer had already set his course. Kale's small scout craft detached silently in the night, slipping into the dark like a shadow. The stars blurred around him as he traveled toward the signal's source. His hands gripped the controls, heart racing. He knew what he was doing was treason. If the council caught him, exile would be mercy compared to what they truly did to betrayers. But still, he pressed forward, for in his chest burned a fire stronger than fear. The voice of the humans. The signal led him to a dying system at the edge of known space. A red star flickered weakly in the distance, its light struggling to reach. Broken planets that drifted like bones. Silence ruled here. No trade, no life, nothing but dust. Yet hidden in that silence, Kale found something impossible. A ship. It was small, crude, scarred by time. It's not sleek like council vessels, not sharp like Dominion warships. Its hull was patched in strange ways, metal joined to metal like a puzzle. The engine sputtered with uneven rhythm, but it was there, real, alive, and human. Kale's breath caught. He slowed his craft, careful not to alarm them. The scanners reached out, confirming what his eyes already knew. Oxygen, human biosigns. Heartbeats, humans. In space, he had dreamed of this moment, but reality struck him harder than he imagined. He was looking at a legend, a forbidden people who had already broken their cage. But the dream did not last long. Another blip appeared on his screen. Sharp, fast, hunting. The Vera Kale's chest tightened. A warship, far larger than the human craft, had entered the system. Its weapons glowed, already locking onto the fragile vessel. He acted before he thought. Throwing his scout ship forward, Kale opened his comms to the human frequency. His voice shook, but there was no time for fear. Human vessel. Listen to me, you are not alone. Another ship is coming for you. You must run, Static answered him at first. Then, after a long pause, a voice broke through. It was rough, low, but steady. A man's voice. Who are you? Kale almost laughed at the question. Who was he? An enemy, a betrayer, a fool. But there was no time for truth. An ally, Kale said firmly. Now move. They are closing in. The human ship hesitated. He could feel their mistrust. Why should they believe him? An alien voice out of nowhere? But then, as the Vera's shadow grew larger on the scanners, the human vessel roared to life. Its engines flared, brighter than Kale expected from such a fragile craft. It turned sharply. Fleeing into the dark, the Vera warship followed, and Kale followed them both. The chase tore across the dead system. The human ship was fast, faster than Kale thought possible. But the Vera were predators, their vessel built for the hunt. Plasma beams cut through the void, searing past the smaller ship. One strike would end it. Kalal could not let that happen. He pushed his scout ship into the fight, targeting the Vera with bursts of jamming signals. Their sensors flickered, buying the humans precious seconds. The human ship slipped between asteroid fragments, weaving through rocks and shadows. Kale mirrored them, his craft diving dangerously close to stone. Psst. The Vera pushed harder. Weapons. Scorching the dark. Then the humans did something Kale did not expect. Instead of fleeing farther, they slowed, turned, faced the predator. The human ship fired. The weapon was not powerful. Just a rail of crude metal launching a storm of steel shards. Nothing like Council plasma. Nothing like Dominion cannons. But the blast ripped through. The asteroid field scattering fragments at impossible speed. The rocks themselves became weapons. The Vera warship reeled. Shields flared as debris hammered against them. Not destroyed, but staggered. Kale's heart leapt. The humans had teeth. Again, he shouted into the coms. Do it again. Human ship obeyed, firing once more, hurling the field itself against the predator. The Vera faltered, their pursuit slowed. But not ended. Already their weapons burned brighter. Charging for a killing strike, Kale made his choice in that instant. He hurled his scout ship forward, straight into the Vera's line of fire. His craft shuddered under the blast, alarms screaming systems. Failing, pain shot through him as the shockwave slammed his body against the seat. But his gamble worked. The shot missed the humans. Through the haze of sparks and smoke, Kale heard the human voice again. You saved us. Why? Kale coughed, blood on his lips, but he smiled. Because you must rise, he whispered. Always. The line went silent. Then, after a pause, the human voice returned, harder now, edged with steel. Then rise with us. Follow. Tail. Blinked in shock as the human ship surged ahead, darting into a hidden path among the rocks. His dying scout limped after them, each system flickering, engines burning. But he did not stop, could not stop. For the first time in history, a human ship and an alien ship ran side by side, hunted together, fighting to survive together. And somewhere behind them, the Vera roared in fury, vowing that neither prey would escape alive. Kale's ship was failing. Every alarm screamed, smoke filled the cabin, and sparks spat from broken panels. His hands gripped the controls tightly, trying to keep the craft alive for just a little longer. Through the crackling comes the human voice returned, steady and commanding. This way. Stay close. Kale obeyed. The human ship darted into a narrow passage of broken asteroids, weaving like it had flown here 100 times before. Kale followed, his damaged vessel scraping against stone, shields flaring and flickering. Behind them, the Vera warship roared. In pursuit, its larger frame struggling to fit through the same jagged path. The rocks shielded them for a moment. But only a moment. Kale's vision blurred as pain spread across his chest. He forced himself to stay awake. He could not die now, not before learning who these humans were, not before hearing their voices with his own ears. Finally, the passage widened. Beyond the field of asteroids lay an abandoned station, its skeleton half broken, drifting in silence. The human ship flew straight toward it. To Kale's shock, the station's doors opened just wide enough to let them in. The human ship vanished inside. Kale followed, nearly crashing as his systems failed one by one. His craft slammed against the station's floor, metal shrieking as sparks flew. Darkness swallowed him for a moment. When he opened his eyes, figures stood outside his cockpit. Humans, they wore patched suits, their faces hard, their eyes sharp. Not soldiers in uniform, not polished explorers. Survivors. They moved quickly, pulling open his hatch, dragging him out before the flames consumed the wreck. For the first time, Kale looked into human eyes, not through a recording, not through a screen, but face to face. One of them crouched beside him, helmet off. A man strong but tired, his skin lined with scars. His voice was the same one Kale had heard through the coms. You saved us, the man said quietly. Kale coughed, his chest aching, but he forced a smile. Because I heard her voice. I believe what she said. You rise always. Always. The humans exchanged glances. Then slowly, the man nodded. Come with us. It carried him through the hollow corridors of the station. To Kale's surprise, the place was alive barely, but alive. Lights flickered, power hummed weakly, and everywhere he saw signs of human work. Machines cobbled together from scrap, weapons forged from broken parts, food grown in strange, glowing containers. This was no simple hiding place. It was a home, a hidden colony. Kale's heart raced. The council had no idea. The humans were already here, surviving on the edge of the galaxy. The man led him into a chamber where others gathered. Men, women, young and old. All stared at Kale with suspicion. Whispers filled the air. Alien, council spy, he'll betray us. But the man raised his hand for silence. This one saved us. He's not with the Dominion. He's with us now. Kale wanted to speak, but pain forced him to sit. Another human stepped forward, a woman with steady hands and sharp eyes. She examined his wounds, patched him with strange human tools. Her touch was rough, but careful. "You're lucky," she muttered. "That blast should have killed you." Kale managed a weak laugh. Luck. Or humans. That made a few of them smile, though only faintly. At last, the man who seemed their leader sat across from Kale. "My name is Commander Rains. This place is Haven Station. You're what's left of a dream that Earth was not ready to share yet. But as you see, we are here." Kale stared in awe. "How? The Council believes you are still trapped on Earth." Rains' eyes hardened. "The Council only believes what it wants. We found a way out. Small ships, secret launches, hidden. Among the noise of your watching eyes, you've been building, waiting, but the Dominion." He paused, his jaw tight. "The Dominion wants to finish us before we grow." Kale felt the weight of those words, looked around at the survivors, tired, wounded, but unbroken. And he understood. The woman's message had not been a dream. It had been truth. Humanity was already rising. Before he could speak, the station shook violently. Sirens wailed, voices shouted, "The Vera! They found us!"
Ow.
Kale staggered to his feet. His own ship was destroyed, his body still weak, but his mind burned clear. "They will not stop," he warned. "They fear what you will become. They will hunt you until nothing remains." Commander Rains stood tall, his eyes hard as steel. "Then we give them something to fear now." Around him, the humans rushed to their stations, grabbing weapons, powering machines, preparing for a fight they might not survive. Kale looked at them. And for the first time in his life, he felt the meaning of the words he had heard so many times. "We rise." Always, the Vera ships closed in, hungry for blood. Haven Station shook with the coming storm, and Kale knew, deep inside, this was only the beginning. Haven Station shook as the first blast struck its outer hull. Lights flickered, pipes burst, and dust rained from the ceiling. The Vera had arrived. Their warships circled like predators, weapons glowing, ready to tear the humans apart. Kale staggered to the command deck, his chest still aching from his wounds. Around him, humans rushed to their posts. Some manned turrets patched together from scavenged metal. Others carried rifles built from broken parts of old machines. Children were ushered into hidden chambers, their wide eyes filled with fear. Commander Rains stood at the center, calm but grim. "They want us afraid," he said, his voice steady. "But fear is not what defines us." "Hold your ground," the humans answered with silence, not weakness, but steel. They had lived too long on the edge of death to waste words. Another blast hit. Sirens screamed. Kale moved to a console, his hands flying over controls. He rerouted failing power lines, boosted shield strength, and forced the station's ancient systems to hold together just a little longer. His people would call this madness. The council would call it suicide. But to him, it was honor. The first wave of Vera ships opened fire. Plasma bolts tore across the void. The station's guns answered, spitting shards of metal, crude but deadly. One Vera fighter spun out of control, smashed by debris. The humans cheered, but only for a moment. For every enemy that fell, 3 more appeared. The Vera were strong. Too strong. Kale's heart pounded. He knew what would happen if the station fell, every human here slaughtered. The dream of Earth's rise crushed before it could begin. He would not allow it. Commander Kale said, turning to Rains. You cannot win this by defense alone. You must strike back. Rains narrowed his eyes. We don't have the weapons. Kale shook his head. You have something more. This station, it is old, broken, yes. It sits on the bones of the asteroids. If you release the anchors, if you trigger the thrusters, you can move the whole station. Rains frowned. Move it where? Kale looked out the viewport at the swarm of enemy ships. His voice was low, almost a whisper. Into them.
Oh.
For a moment, silence. Then Rains's lips curved into a grim smile. You think like a human. Orders rang out. Crews scrambled. Systems roared to life that had slept for years. The old engines of Haven Station groaned, their voices deep and angry. Slowly, impossibly, the entire station shifted. The Vera laughed at first. To them, it looked like desperation, a broken station trying to crawl away. It did not realize until it was too late. Haven Station turned, its massive frame twisting with the asteroids around it. And then, with a thunder that shook the void, it charged forward straight into the heart of the Vera fleet. The collision was chaos. Asteroids, dragged by the station's gravity anchors, smashed into the warships. Crude guns fired in every direction. Explosions lit the dark like falling. Stars Kale gripped the console, his body trembling, but his spirit alive. He had never seen anything like this. Humans turned their weakness into strength. Their broken home became a weapon. Impact, voices shouted. The station tore through one Vera cruiser, splitting it in half. Fire and debris scattered across space. Another enemy ship was crushed under a tumbling asteroid, its engines bursting into flame. But the cost was heavy. Haven's hull cracked, shields failed, and compartments tore open to the void. Screams echoed as lives were lost. Still, the humans fought. Rains stood tall at the center of it all, his voice cutting through the chaos. Do not stop. Show them who we are. Ow. Kale joined them. His fingers danced over the systems, pushing the failing engines to their limit. His vision blurred, but he felt alive. Another blast rocked the station. Metal screamed. Fires burned. The Vera flagship loomed ahead, its cannons glowing brighter than suns. The final strike was coming. Kale looked at Rains. And for a brief moment, alien and human shared the same fire in their eyes. Do it, Kale whispered. Make them remember. Rains gave the order. The last of Haven's engines roared, burning themselves out in one final thrust. The station hurled forward, dragging the shattered asteroids with it. Straight toward the Vera flagship, the Dominion ship fired, but too late. Impact light swallowed everything. When Kale opened his eyes, he expected death. Instead, he found silence, floating wreckage, fires drifting in the void. The Vera flagship was going to crush beneath the bones of Haven Station. But so was Haven. The great home of the survivors had been sacrificed in the strike. Broken, burning, scattered, and yet not all was lost. Small human ships slipped from the wreckage, engines burning, carrying survivors away. Against impossible odds they had lived. Kale lay among them, weak, broken, but alive. His heart ached as he watched the remains of the station drift into the dark. But in that moment, he understood. The woman's words were no dream. Humans would never kneel, not to the Council, not to the Dominion, not to anyone. They would rise. Always. And now, so would he. The wreckage of Haven drifted silently across the dead system, its fires slowly dying, its bones scattered among the stars. But from that ruin, small human ships pushed into the dark, carrying survivors. They were wounded, hunted, but alive. Kale sat inside one of the escape craft, his body weak, his chest bandaged by human hands. Through the cracked viewport he saw what they had left behind, ashes of their home, but proof of their strength. Haven had fallen, yet the mighty Vera flagship had fallen with it. For the first time in his life, Kale had seen humans fight, not in words, not in recordings, but with fire and steel. They had turned death itself into a weapon, He would never forget it. Commander Rains stood at the front of the craft, his face hard, his voice calm. "They think they destroyed us," he said, "but they only lit a fire they cannot put out." Humans listened in silence. No one wept. No one begged. Their eyes burned with quiet rage. Kale spoke, his voice rough. "The Council will hear of this. The Vera will spread lies claiming victory. But I will not be silent. I will carry your truth." Rains turned, his eyes sharp. "You are not Council anymore. You stood with us. You fought with us. Why?" Kale hesitated, then answered, "Right. Because your fire woke mine." Rains gave a slow nod. "Then you are with us now. Alien or not, two are part of this fight." The ship shook as engines strained. They were running low on fuel, low on supplies. Every breath was heavy, yet still they pressed forward. The survivors needed a safe place, somewhere to rebuild before the next strike came. Kale knew the truth. There was no safe place. The Dominion would hunt them. The Council would forbid them. But as he looked at the humans around him, scarred, broken but unbowed, he realized safety was not what they sought. They sought freedom. Hours passed. The survivors gathered in the main hold, speaking in hushed tones. Plans were whispered. Ideas sparked. Some wanted to scatter, to vanish into the stars. Others wanted to strike back, even if it meant death. Rains listened, then raised his voice. Above them, running will not save us. Waiting will not save us. The galaxy already fears what we may become. So let us give them a reason to fear. Let us show them that humans do not fade. We endure. His words spread through the crowd like fire. Heads lifted. Eyes hardened. Even children, clinging to their parents, seemed to understand. Kale felt his chest tighten. He had heard speeches before, from generals, from rulers, from council leaders. But never like this. This was not command. This was truth. The humans began to work. Even in their broken ships they built. Tools clattered, sparks flew. Weapons were repaired from scraps. Engines were patched with hands that would not give up. Every movement said the same thing. We rise. Always, but shadows followed. Kale's scanners picked up faint signals in the distance. Vera ships small this time, scouts searching for survivors. They were closing in. He turned to Rains. They will find us soon. You cannot outrun them. Forever? Rains's jaw tightened. Then we stop running. The humans looked to him, waiting for his decision. His eyes swept across them, then settled on Kale. You know their ways, Rains said. You know their weakness. Help us fight them. Kale hesitated. This was the moment. To fight the Dominion openly meant severing his last ties to the Council. He would be marked a traitor, hunted across the stars. But then he remembered the woman's voice, the one that had started everything. Choose wisely, Kale chose. I will help you, he said, but we cannot fight them with strength. We must fight them with what they do not expect. Rains leaned forward. Explain. Kale's eyes glowed faintly as he pointed to the scattered wreckage on the scanners. Dominion believes you are weak. They do not know you turn weakness into strength. We will use the ruins of Haven. We will make them your weapon. Silence filled the hold. Then slow. Fierce smiles spread across the humans' faces. They began their work. The escape ships turned back toward the wreckage, gathering what remained of Haven-broken steel, shattered engines, fragments of asteroids still caught in its gravity anchors. Piece by piece, they shaped it into something new. A trap. The humans wove death from their own ruins. Guided by Kale's knowledge of Vera's systems, when the scouts arrived, they would not find broken prey. They would find hunters waiting in the dark, and as Kale watched humans bend destruction into creation, his heart swelled with something he had never known before. Pride, for the first time. He no longer thought of himself as an outsider, thought of himself as part of something greater. And when the Vera scouts finally appeared, their ships gliding into the ruins like wolves scenting blood, Kale whispered the words he had carried. Since the beginning, we rise. Always. The trap was ready. The fire was waiting, and the galaxy was about to learn the truth. The wreckage of Haven floated quietly, like the bones of a dead giant. Shattered beams drifted. Broken engines glowed faintly. To the Vera scouts entering the system, it looked like nothing more than ruins, a graveyard of defeated prey. They did not know the graveyard was alive, hidden among the wreckage. Human ships waited. Their engines were silent, their lights dark, their weapons aimed. Every survivor held their breath. Even children, tucked away in hidden compartments, stayed quiet, as if they understood what was coming. Kale sat beside Commander Rains on the lead ship. His wounds still ached, but his hands were steady on the console. He had never felt this alive. For the first time, he was not a watcher, was part of the fight. The Vera scouts drifted closer, scanning the ruins. Their voices echoed across. Comes sharp and arrogant. No signs of survivors. Burn what remains. Their weapons began to glow. Rains's voice cut through the silence, calm but fierce. No, the trap sprung. From the ruins, hidden charges detonated. Broken engines exploded, sending shockwaves through the void. Asteroid fragments, rigged with human ingenuity, hurled forward at deadly speed. One Vera ship was torn apart instantly, ripped open by shrapnel. Another spun wildly, shields failing under the storm of debris. The survivors roared not in fear, but in fury. Human ships darted from hiding, firing their crude weapons with precision. Metal shards, rail slugs, and improvised missiles slammed into the enemy. Kale joined them, feeding the humans his knowledge of Vera tactics, guiding their strikes. They rely on forward shields, he shouted. Hit their flanks. Strike their engines. The humans obeyed. Their fire raked across the Vera holes, tearing into weak points. One scout went dark, engines dying. Another broke apart in fire, but the fight was not over. The largest Vera ship still stood. Its cannons burned, spitting plasma that shook the void. One human vessel was struck, torn apart in a flash of light. The survivors inside had no time to scream. Grief filled the humans, but it did not break them. It hardened them. Their voices rose over the combs, fierce and unyielding. For Haven, for Earth, Kale's heart pounded. He saw it now, clearer than ever. These people were not just survivors. They were a storm waiting to break free. The last Vera ship loomed, weapons glowing for a final strike. The humans had little left, few guns, little power. But Kale saw a way. He turned to Rains. We must burn everything. Use the last of the wreckage. Drag them down with us if we must. Rains's eyes met his. There was no fear in them, only steel. Do it. Together they triggered the final trap. The remains of Haven's core, still alive with unstable energy, flared to life. Power surged, brighter than a dying star. The wreckage around it shifted. Pulled by gravity anchors, the Vera captain realized too late. The graveyard moved, asteroids. Metal firewall collapsed toward the heart of the trap, dragging the Vera ship with them. Its engines roared as it fought to escape, but the pull was too strong. The great warship twisted, cracked, and finally shattered under the weight of destruction. Light filled the system, and silence. When it cleared, only the humans remained. Damaged, bloodied. But alive, a cheer rose across the combs. Ragged, broken. But real. The survivors had done what no one believed possible. They had stood against the Dominion and won. Kale sat in silence, staring at the wreckage. His chest ached not from wounds, but from awe. He turned to Rains, his voice low. They will come again. More ships, more armies, they will never stop. Rains nodded slowly. Then we don't stop either. He looked at his people, the tired, the wounded, the unbroken. His voice carried to every ship, every soul. We are no longer hiding. We are no longer waiting. Today the galaxy has seen the truth. Humans endure, humans fight, humans rise. The cheer that followed shook even Kale's heart, and in that moment he knew the Council's greatest mistake. They had tried to forbid Earth, to silence it, to bury it in fear. But they had forgotten one thing. You cannot forbid fire. As the survivors turned their ships toward the stars, Kale whispered the words that had carried him through everything. The words that would now echo across the galaxy. We rise. Always. And somewhere on Earth, still unaware of what had begun. Humanity's dream of the stars had already come true. The Council would tremble. The Dominion would rage. The galaxy would change, because humanity had spoken once, and the stars had listened.